You have this huge gap between when the Bible's put together and when the people got the revelation that the Bible claims to represent. Right? So they say the oldest they can date the Old Testament to is maybe 400 BC. Moses lived 1300 BC, so you got a 900-year gap. Right? You get the Psalms finalized about 200 years later, 200 BC. David lived 900 BC, maybe 1000 BC. Allahu Alam, right? So you got a 800-year gap. The closest is like the Gospel of Mark is, let's see, 70 CE, so 40 years after Jesus. You get it written in a foreign language, a different language than what Jesus spoke, right? So that's the closest thing they got, the Gospel of Mark. I know, what do you call it? Paul's letters are earlier, but I don't count him. He's not a prophet. He never met Jesus. He just claims that Jesus appeared to him and gave him all this new information. That's who you need to be questioning. If somebody who's never met the guy is saying he heard from him and he's got all this new information that nobody's ever taught before. That God turned into a human and died for your sins and all this stuff coming out of nowhere. Right? The Bible does not claim Jesus to be God. People claim that the Bible claims Jesus to be God. But in the Bible, Jesus makes it clear he's not God. Multiple places. One of the strongest is in the book of Mark in chapter 10. The Jew comes to Jesus. He says, "Oh, good teacher." And Jesus says, "Why do you call me good? There is no one good but God alone." Okay? That bothered Matthew so much, he changed the wording. Compare the two stories. We go to Mark and Luke, they keep it the same. Luke copies Mark consistently. Matthew changes the wording of Mark because he didn't like Jesus showing people that he's not God. They're like, "Oh, I don't like this." So he says, "Why do you ask me about what's good? There's none good but God alone." Like he changes the wording, right? Because he didn't like that it shows Jesus is not God so clear. Even in the book of John is the most highly Christology, elevating Jesus to some godly level. But even in there, you have Jesus multiple times showing you that he's not the same as God. He's lesser than God. He'll tell people that I'm just a human being telling you what I heard from God in John 8:40. That's one of the clearest proofs. He says, "Why are you Jews mad at me and saying I'm blaspheming?" I said, "I'm just a man telling you what I heard from God." Go read John 8:40.